Hello everyone. Let me boost the mic to probably 10 decibels. And how is everyone doing? Oh, that's not even enough. I guess I'm having a quiet day. Let me boost it even more. A 12 decibels. Okay, I need to get the mic closer to my mouth then. Oh, sorry about all that. Sorry about all that red. Yeah, it's... See how I boosted 12 decibels, and then when I get close, it goes from, like, barely into the red at all to all of a sudden... See? It needs a compressor. It needs a built-in compressor. Anyway. Hello, Daniel. Here. Ahoy hoy again. Alright, so today we are going to talk about this stuff here. Give me a minute, though. I came in, I timed things a little bit wrong. I was doing some work outside, and, you know, I try to have an internal clock and guesstimate getting in on time, and again, a little bit late. That's alright. I was planning to eat a little something first, and then, let's see here. Ate a couple of crackers, anyway. In the meantime, just give me a minute to get some coffee here. How are you guys doing? Let's see, what do I got here? Is this just garbage? Oh, that's my notes. We'll see. Alright. Wow. Loud assholes. How you doing, Daniel? Good to have you with us, by the way. Let's see here. I need to do a thing. Was up there dismantling on our property. I was dismantling a I don't want to call it a shed. It's more like somebody built a small house, a 2-room basically, I think. I don't even know if it had its own bathroom though. I'm not sure. Anyway, did have electricity, and when we bought the property, it was half falling apart, and it's been getting worse over time. And so every once in a while, I pull some, break some stuff off of it. I let nature run its course, though. It helps me. You know, the nature gets into the wood and softens it up, and so, you know, I go to there in spring and stuff that I couldn't yank off, and now all of a sudden I can. It's ripping off siding and stuff like that. Anyway, hold on. Oh, Daniel, oh, just grinding it out. Yeah, what, are you working? And if so, what do you do? If you don't mind me asking. You know, you don't have to be specific. Alright, I'll be right back. Ah, coffee. Or kofifi, as Tabby likes to say.
Kofifi.
Yeah. Alright, let me get back to this. Today we're going to talk about murderers and other prisoners released in the COVID scamdemic. Now, there's a pattern that Tabby and I go through, and I think Tabby would agree, where sometimes she says X, bad X thing happened, and I kind of roll my eyes and go, oh, I don't want to believe that, but she's probably right. And I make, yeah, and I make a mental note. You know, I mean, this part of my brain wants to go, no, that's crazy, that can't be. You know, she she's either exaggerating or she read a bad source or something. But then the other part says, no, she's usually right about these things and all, you know. So that's what this falls in the category of. So she told me this a while back, and I made a little mental note of it to look into it sometime, because that sounds very important, and it's a very important topic, and we should remember these travesties of history lest we are doomed to repeat them, right? So that's why this is now part of the Culture War Encyclopedia, and it falls under the category of COVID-19. There's a subcategory about the COVID prison release, and today we're going to focus mostly on the worst part of it, the murderers and the people who are either murderers and then were released, or were released and then committed allegedly murders. And I say allegedly because I don't think any of these people had any trials yet, or at least they had not at the time it was reported that they were suspects and murderers and stuff. So checking the chat. Oh, you get paid to destroy shit. Well, I was doing demo, and what kind of demo do you do? What do you destroy? I wasn't getting paid to. I was just doing it because property management, let's call it. But destroying stuff sounds fun. All right. Coffee. All right. Murderers and other prisoners released in the COVID scamdemic. What we have listed below is far from complete. However, it hopefully gives the reader some idea of the reality of the situation. At any rate, it will have to do unless you, dear reader, wish to volunteer to add more. Volunteer work is welcome, as is monetary donations. I meant to put in is right there. We will look at a timeline of news items related to prisoners released or planned to be released, with COVID-19 being used as the reason or excuse. First, however, we will look at the timeline of the same, but only with regard to such prisoners who were murderers and or who allegedly murdered upon being released. And in fact, that's probably all we're going to look at, because the other list is too long. So let me give you, this is the first timeline. This is the timeline we're going to look at related to murder and alleged murder. Then we have this timeline, which is pretty much all just about either programs, plans to release prisoners, prisoners actually being released, politicians promising to release X amount and only releasing half that or whatever, etc. and so on. And just give me an idea, let's see here. Probably with our connection, it's going to be choppy anyway, but here, this will give me a chance to sip some coffee anyway. You can see in with some articles, I don't just list them, I quote certain important parts. And also what you see in bold is, you know, I want people's particular focus to be on. So here we have, you know, all told, correction officials plan to release 11,500 inmates by the end of August. And this is according to, this is probably Gavin Newsom's in the state of California. It's funny because a lot of the times it's Democrat politicians promising to do something bad and then not actually following through so much. Which is funny because it's like, well, they did a bad thing by being dishonest and not following through, but they did less of a bad thing by not following through. All right, so here you go. We're already into 2021. You get the idea. It just keeps going. And then at the very end, we have a list of just the sources without comment listed chronologically. All right, so let's do the first section. First section only, timeline of release of murderers and alleged murderers. March 15th, 2020. It was reported in suspect in Denver murder was paroled due to coronavirus concerns at Colorado prisons 3 weeks before killing, by the Denver Post that, quote, a suspect in the fatal Denver shooting of a 21-year-old woman was paroled from Colorado's prison system due to coronavirus concerns 3 weeks before the killing, unquote. They also reported, quote, hundreds of inmates are eligible for parole under the executive order that they discuss, unquote.
What's the point of ever having locked them up to begin with, then?
Right.
What was the fucking point of wasting all that tax money to fucking have them see a judge, have them put in cuffs, have them transported to a jail, have all of that shit happen just for them to be in a prison, just so you could let them out?
Right.
Why did you waste all the fucking money?
Doesn't make any damn sense
No, it
unless
doesn't.
you
It
start
doesn't
thinking.
make any sense.
It only makes sense when you start thinking in terms of a conspiracy.
Yeah, it only
An
makes
actual
sense if they
conspiracy,
brought
as in.
criminals out.
Yeah, and when I say conspiracy, I mean actual conspiracy. You know, like a realistic, like, you know, look, politics is conspiracy. It's just.
It's basically like them admitting that whatever crimes these people committed weren't worth being locked up for.
Yeah.
That's what they're admitting.
Right.
And that's pretty fucked up. It's like, so you just wrongfully caged human beings for no fucking reason other than you wanted to make tax revenue. Is that what you're saying? Because that's the only logical fucking reason that you would let fucking human beings out of goddamn prison. Not the drunk tank. Prison. Different.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? You're admitting you have people in prison right now that don't need to be in prison right now, but you're going to keep them there. And the only reason you let them out is because COVID. What the fuck is wrong with you? Either they're there for a good reason, or you all are a bunch of sociopathic liars that like caging people like fucking animals. Which is it?
Yeah.
Which fucking is it? Because that's all it did when you fucking did that.
And
Just made everybody look at you like you're a bunch of sociopaths locking people up who are innocent.
And Tabby, what do you and Daniel and anybody else out there watching this live or later, what do you suppose would be the motivation or motivations here?
Money, power, and lies.
Yeah, but I mean a little bit more specifically. So is part of it to terrorize the public just directly? Or is it part of it, is it to be like, look, the COVID thing is so serious that they have to let prisoners out? Which seems a little weird and stupid.
Well, no,
Is it just, you know, let's go for the top, you know, the weirdest conspiracy I could think of. Is it China just trying to say, hey, let's invade the country, but use their own people to domestically invade from inside? An internal invasion? Is it one of those things? It's a little bit like, do you remember in the beginning of Scarface, when this was a historical event, Cuba sent their worst in boats along with other people and, you know, let them loose on Miami. And they're like, yeah, they'll just kill Americans, you know?
Well, that's what the fucking left was doing. They were hoping they would just let out fucking morons and psychopaths. And it would cut down some numbers for them.
Well, they did in some cases, and that's what we're going to focus on. You know,
that's the point of why you don't let somebody who's in prison out for fun.
Yeah.
Unless they're in there for weed. I'm sorry. Unless you're letting somebody out of prison who's smoking weed.
Right.
You don't let them out of prison. The only one you let out of prison is somebody who's in there for a slap on the fucking wrist, but got a judge who threw a book at him.
Yeah, again.
That's who you let out. Somebody who needs a slap on the wrist, not somebody who was drunk driving for the third fucking time. Not somebody who could possibly murder somebody. Not an arsonist. None of those people. None of them. But that's who they were letting out. They didn't let out the potheads. Oh,
well,
fuck
no. Let me say, the main body goes into who, you know, let out, what states let out how many, and blah, blah, blah. And in a lot of cases, it has to be non-serious stuff, and et cetera, and et cetera. Now, we're going to focus on the cases where they did let out people who either did kill in the past or did kill after they let them out. So these are exceptions to the rule, but there are too many of these exceptions to the rule. So again, we have March 15th. We have a case. Now let's go to March 30th, 2020. We have a case. According to the Congressional Leadership Fund in Carcel Powell released murderers for COVID. On this date, Chairman Nadler of the Judiciary Committee, quote, sent a letter demanding Attorney General Bill Barr, quote, release as many prisoners as possible, unquote, due to the coronavirus. And again, this is Nadler, Chairman Nadler, all right? In the government, in the Judiciary Committee, telling the Attorney General, basically the prosecuting attorney for the federal government, to order these places to release as many prisoners as possible. Now, Barr did not exactly take that route, but he did take a mild version of it. All right, so let's continue with what they said. To make due to the coronavirus. To make matters worse, the letter demands the Department of Justice evaluate prisoners for release, quote, regardless of the type of institution in which they are housed, the seriousness of their offense, or the potential recidivism risk they may present, unquote. Again, the seriousness of their offense, regardless, he's saying. That's his suggestion, or he's imploring. All right? He continues, the Democrats even go so far as to specifically point out high-security facilities and criminals, quote, who have been convicted of serious offenses, who have high pattern of risk scores, unquote, and call for them to, quote, to be, I think that was their typo. Well, anyway, I'm not in edit mode, so I can't. Okay. Call for them to, quote, be assessed for release because they may be elderly or particularly vulnerable, unquote, unquote. Now, why is Nadler imploring the Attorney General to implore them to let out serious criminals? What the Anyway. If this were true, it would seem like a concerted effort to, well, remember when Cuba sent their I wrote wart criminals to Miami?
Some of them have warts.
Yeah. Only this would be an internal invasion by dangerous prisoners upon the public. Source called Wave 3 published more inmates released amid corona concerns as one inmate gets arrested for murder.
Probably murdered the witness.
Writing that a man by the name of Jacob Burnett was arrested on a murder charge after serving 2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks of the 2 years he was sentenced to serve. Okay, so he had a 2-year sentence for something. Served 2 weeks of that sentence. They let him out, and now he commits murder. His 145 inmates released from that place.
I remember reading something, and that might be that one. More in-depth story of one of the inmates being released and then going and killing the victim that he was locked up for having attacked.
Yeah, no, that is in here, but
okay, yeah.
This is not that.
Sick.
But that did
sick.
Apparently happen.
That's what happens when you let fucking criminals out, assholes. They go after the people who put them there, meaning the victim. Some asshole murdered a victim. Yay! I hope you enjoy letting your criminals out so that you can fucking get your, 2 minutes of glory because you think you did something good, which you didn't because we all know that you're a fucking asshole, and the only reason you let fucking dangerous criminals out is so that they can kill more of the populace, because that's what you politicians keep talking about lately out the corner of your mouth, hoping we don't fucking hear you. Oh, population control. We need to get the population down. We need to get this under control. The only people who say that are rich assholes who are out of touch with reality, who probably need to be populace controlled themselves. Just saying.
Hey, if they could use the term.
If they can, so can we.
Right.
Just because they have money, they have the right to control us. Fuck you! I think we should populace control it the other way. There are far too many old money in this world. Let's start there. There's far too many call girls with power. Do I make myself clear?
Yeah.
You want to control us? There's more of us.
By the way, it's funny when people are from India and then they call themselves black. In American culture,
But whatever.
No, in American culture, black specifically refers to people with genetics from sub-Saharan Africa. In the UK, that's different. When they say, "Oh, he's a black fellow," they may mean Pakistani.
They also call them Asian, which is hilarious. Like, well, pick one. Are they black or are they Asian? Because I don't think there's a lot of Blasians out there.
Blasians?
So you're gonna have to pick one. What are they to y'all? No, I'm kidding. It doesn't matter. Does it?
No, it's just funny to talk about that.
It's just funny to be confused.
All right. Check the chat before we go to the next item. Daniel says, get paid to destroy. Yeah, it's to lower property values so they could buy them on the cheap and sell them to BlackRock. Oh, come on. In regards to the whole soft on crime thing. Oh, I thought you were paid to destroy shit to lower. I thought you were joking. that your job is to pay. You're getting paid to destroy shit to lower the property value so that somebody could buy them on the cheap and sell them to BlackRock. Yeah, but what I see what you're saying about the crime. Right. Okay. Well, yeah, that does make sense, especially if you want people that just sort of flee certain neighborhoods and then.
You know, like how Oprah didn't like the people across the street from her, so she had them all burned alive.
Yeah, talking about Hawaii. Yeah.
Oh, was I not supposed to say that the fucking evil whore in her mansion had people burned alive? Oh, I'm not supposed to say that, but, you know, that's what it's looking like, you bitch.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it fucking looks. It doesn't look like, oops, accidentally a fire sprung up.
The COVID thing is.
No, it looks like you all helped set fires and let them just spring up. And then you blocked people from getting to their homes to put the fires out, which was really fun. The law enforcement there literally put up roadblocks, not letting people into neighborhoods that haven't caught fire yet.
Right.
So they couldn't get home and save their pets, their children, or their house.
Right.
Imagine that. You know what I would have done? Run the fucking cop over. I would have run his ass over, driven to my house, saved my babies, driven back to the cop's corpse, and run him over again. Like, fuck you! How are you doing? You got a badge and now you automatically have the right to destroy all my life because, oh, somebody higher than you said to? Fuck you! You don't deserve life if you're gonna take everything from me. I get to just fucking go nuts and destroy you. That's fair. That's just. Your money won't protect you when the rest of us catch up to my mentality. I'm a bloodthirsty bitch. Wait till you turn the rest of the herd into me. Good luck with that revolution. By the way, I'll be watching from the shoulders, taking pictures and laughing my ass off.
Don't mess with the tabby.
Shit.
Don't mess with the red Sonia.
You're gonna fucking kill people and then act like you're doing good things. Well, you know, if you donate to me, I'll give money. You won't give money to people, Oprah. We fucking know you. Fuck you. And by the way, richer than God themselves, why the fuck aren't you just buying your neighbors new houses? You bought an entire audience a shitty car.
Well, they're being cheap.
No, because she's the one that fucking helped to burn them out. That's why.
Well,
And
that's
now
what I'm
she's just
saying.
collecting fucking whatever revenue she can to make it more fun for her. This is hilarious to her. She got to hurt people and is getting away with it. Barely getting away with it because the public fucking hates her now. Same with The Rock. They hate you too, you pinheaded piece of shit.
According to the
And I hope the
congressional
Islanders there
Yeah.
take a little justice on your bloodline on account of you just basically turned your back on all of them because you're a rich elitist piece of shit
quote
who
sent a letter
has a
demanding
nice
Attorney General
mansion
Bill
there
Barr,
as well,
quote,
and it
release
didn't get
as
burnt
many
either, and that's
prisoners as
fucking
possible,
amazing.
unquote, due to
Magic.
the
When you have
coronavirus.
enough money
And again,
and a wall
this
high
is
enough,
a-
apparently
this is,
fire can't magically
Nadler,
get over it to your tree.
Chairman Nadler.
Across
Even though
the
it took
street.
all of the trees in front of your house, it took all of the
Judiciary
trees
Committee telling
across
attorneys-
the
the
street.
Attorney
It took
General
all of the
basically
trees
the
almost halfway
prosecuting
up the
attorney
mountain,
for
but
the
then it
federal
stopped
government
magically like a
to
straight line.
order
That's why,
these
because
places to release
Oprah
as
doesn't
many
want to see
prisoners
an
as
ugly,
possible.
burned
Now,
out mountain across from
Barr
her. So
did
they
not
purposely stopped the fire
exactly
there. You
take
can
that route.
see where they stopped
But he
it.
did take a mild version of
So
it.
they see the mountain is
Alright,
worth
so let's
saving.
continue with what you
Oprah, The Rock, and all of
To
their
make
shitty
that,
friends are
due
worth
to the
saving,
coronavirus. To
but
make
not the
matters
neighbors
worse,
across
the letter
the street.
demands the Department
Nope.
of Justice
Not them.
evaluate
Nope.
prisoners
No,
for
they were
release,
allowed
quote,
to burn to
regardless of
death.
the type of institution
Ha
in which
ha
they
ha
are
ha ha!
The
With what
seriousness of their
Oprah was
offense
hearing in her fucking
or the
head
potential
when her
of
neighbors
physical
across the
risk
goddamn
of
street
offense.
burned to death.
Again, the seriousness of their offense, regardless.
Well, how do you really
That's
feel, though?
his, suggestion.
You don't want to know how I
He's
really feel.
ignoring. All right. He continues. The
That's a
Democrats
dark place.
even
Yeah.
go so far as
All right,
to
now,
specifically point out
Wave
how
3,
security
a source,
facilities
published
and criminals, quote,
more
who have been
inmates
convicted of
released amid coronavirus
serious
concerns as one inmate gets arrested for murder. This is the same one we were starting to talk about. Writing that a man by the name of Jacob Burnett was arrested on a murder charge after serving 2 weeks of the 2 years that he was sentenced to serve. He was one of 45 inmates released from the Louisville Metro Department of Corrections, apparently. Wave 3 reported, quote, Burnett admitted to stabbing a person on March 22nd, 2020. They mean in the Douglas Hills neighborhood. He had been released just 4 days before on mandatory re-entry and a program designed to let prisoners out of incarceration a few months early. He had been sentenced to 2 years in prison on March 3rd for another crime, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The Kentucky Department of Corrections said Burnett was eligible for re-entry for the re-entry program after serving 9 months and 9 days and that his release was
Only
not
as this would be
related to the
an internal
coronavirus,
invasion by dangerous
unquote.
internal
And I
invasion
added,
by dangerous
sure.
sources upon the public.
April
Source
14th,
Wave 3 published
2020, it
more
was reported that
inmates released amid corona concerns
man
as
released
one
from jail
inmate
because of
gets
COVID-19
arrested
accused
for
of killing
murder.
someone the next day by ABC WTSP 10 Tampa
writing
Bay
for,
that,
writing
quote,
that a man
one
by the name of
inmate
Jacob
who was
Burton
let out on March
was arrested,
19th
on a
before
murder
standing
charge
trial
after
on
serving
drug
2
charges
weeks.
is accused of killing someone in
2
Tampa the next
weeks
day.
of the 2
James
years
Edward
he was
Williams
sentenced to serve.
was considered
So he
a
had a
quote-unquote
2-year sentence
low-level
for something.
offender, but the 26-year-old
Served
is
2
no
weeks
stranger
of
to the
that
criminal
sentence.
justice system. He's
They
been
let him
arrested
out,
35
and now he
times,
commits murder.
according to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and was previously
He's
convicted
won
on
45 days release
of
from
felony burglary and several misdemeanors. Now Williams is back behind bars. He's charged with second-degree murder. Looks like a nice guy with those tattoos on his face and everything. Charged with second-degree murder, resisting an
no,
officer with
that is
violence,
in here.
felon in possession
This
of a
is not
firearm,
that,
possession
but
of
that
heroin,
apparently happened.
and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Criminals out, assholes. They go after the people who put them there. Meaning the victim.
Yeah.
Some asshole murdered
Here are
the
more
victim.
reports on this. Now these are all
I hope
different
you enjoy
news
letting
items
your
on the
criminals out
same
so that you can
thing,
fucking get
same
your,
guy.
I don't know, 2 minutes of
But you know,
glory
you get
so
a
that you can get
variety of
something
you
good.
know
You
views
don't
on
know
it
if you're a
from
fucking
USA
asshole.
Today, New York Times,
The reason
ABC,
you let
blah blah.
fucking dangerous criminals out
Bearing
is
Arms
so
is
that
probably
they can
the
kill
most
more
fun one to read.
populace because that's what
Very
politicians
pro
keep
Second Amendment
talking
source
about
right there.
lately. Out the
April
corner of your
22nd,
mouth, hopefully they
21st.
fucking hear
You know,
you.
basically,
Oh, population
you know, they're putting out news items like this. This is why you need the Second Amendment. This is why you need the right to bear arms. April 21st, 2020. On this date, it was reported woman who murdered husband released from prison because
Hey,
of
if they can use the
COVID-19
term.
by Fox 5 San Diego. Quote, 73-year-old woman, Davy. Quote, a 73-year-old former Valley Center resident who was convicted of murdering her husband and was serving a 25 years to life sentence will be released temporarily from prison Wednesday amid the COVID-19 pandemic, unquote.
I'm gonna just release your temporaries just for right
Yeah.
now. Throw her back in there. Are you out of your fucking mind?
By the
You're
way,
gonna let her
yeah.
out. You're
people
admitting
are
that she
from
doesn't need
India
to be
and
there.
they
But she
call
does need to be there because she
themselves
killed her
In
fucking
American
husband.
culture, that
Okay?
No, in
a
American culture,
70-something-year-old
black
woman who
specifically
goes
refers to
crazy and
people
kills her
with
husband is a danger
genetics
to
from
society.
sub-Saharan Africa.
She might kill somebody else. I'm
In
sorry,
the
if you
UK,
go
it's
to the age
different.
70-something
When
and you
they say,
haven't
"Oh, he's
murdered
a black
somebody and then
pedo,"
you just
they
murder
may mean
someone, you're
Pakistani,
dangerous.
they, you know.
You're bottling that shit for a fucking while. You're goddamn dangerous. How the hell are they gonna let you out?
Because I don't think there's a lot of Blasians out
It's
there.
fucked up.
Asians.
It's fucked up.
You know, so
And
let's
only
get it.
temporary, just for a while.
Oh,
We're
sure.
just gonna see
Yeah,
how
yeah,
she
yeah,
does
yeah,
out
yeah,
there.
alright.
What the fuck?
Right?
No, it's just funny to talk
Either
about
she's
that.
supposed to be locked up or she's not supposed to be locked up. Please, pick a lane, stay there.
Yeah.
Because this is getting annoying, and I think somebody should do a pit move and knock you into the
Daniel
wall.
says,
What the fuck?
Right.
Get paid to destroy.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's to
This
lower
is
property
dumb.
values so
This
they
is-
could buy them
don't
on
let
the
killers
cheap
out,
and sell
period.
them to
I
black
don't care
folk.
what's between their
Oh, come
legs
on.
or how old
In
they are.
regards
They
to,
murdered somebody. They should probably
the
stay
whole
locked
soft
up.
on crime thing.
You
Oh, I
know?
thought,
Like, just for the
I
safety of
thought you were
everybody
paid to
involved.
destroy shit.
Yeah.
To lower.
All right, so April 28th, 2020. On this date, it was reported that 64 convicted murderers were released in Illinois, as well as many other violent
I
criminals
see what you're saying
and
about
others.
the crime.
Thanks,
right.
Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
This-
the
that does
world
make
needed
sense.
those people back on the streets.
Especially
It's
if
not
you
like
want
you
people
paid
to just sort of
officers
flee
to track
certain
them down and hunt
neighborhoods
them up.
and
Not like you paid judges to preside over cases, probably multiple cases in regards to some of these, like to
You're
appeal.
talking about Hawaii.
It's not like you paid court lawyers and, you know, district attorneys. It's not like you paid for the gas for the police cruisers to transport them everywhere. It's not like you paid for the fucking... Yes, you paid for all of that! Why would you pay for that if you're just gonna let her go?
Oops, accidentally.
Why? Why? Answer the fucking why. Make it goddamn make sense. Doesn't make sense to spend all of that money, that fucking money, all of that fucking time, all of that effort, all of that fucking bullshit just to go, let's let him out.
Haven't caught fire yet.
Right.
So they couldn't get home and stay
Tell
next
me
to their children.
why. And don't go, well, COVID. No, it's more sensible to keep
Run the
people locked
fucking
up in an
cop
environment
over,
in which
run
you
his
can keep
ass
them
over,
away from
driven
each
to
other.
my house, saved
Instead
my
of leaving
baby,
them to roam on the
back to
street.
cop corpses
Why
over
did
again.
you let
Fuck you.
criminals
How are you
go?
You're-
It doesn't
you're
make
adding
sense to
them
go
on the right to
cough
destroy all
COVID.
of
No,
my life
that makes no
because,
sense.
oh,
Why the fuck,
I
logically,
didn't
did
say
you let them out?
You don't
Only
deserve
two
life.
reasons.
You're gonna take
One,
everything
you
from
wanted to
me.
hurt the
I
public
just
with them.
fucking
Or
go down and
two,
destroy
you're
you.
admitting that they never did
That's
anything
fair.
wrong to begin with.
That's just. Your money
So which
will
is it?
protect you when
Are you
the
just
rest
trying to
of
hurt
us
us, or are you
catch up
openly
to our
admitting that the legal
mentality?
system is arresting and confining
I'm a
people with
bloodthirsty
no
bitch. Wait
reason?
until you turn the rest of the herd into
Which is
me.
it? Because it looks like it's one of those two, and I can guess which one it really is. Because I'm sure that bitch did in fact kill her husband. So, that narrows down the reasons, and that narrows down our answer to you just want to hurt the public, doesn't it? Fucking assholes. They're just out to murder us. And we're gonna sit here happily with a smile on our fucking face and let them do it? Is that what they really fucking think? We're just gonna sit there with our asses in the air like we're a bunch of fucking dumbass Muslims on carpet so they can walk up and fucking jimmy us in our assholes? No! We will not comply with that shit! Fuck you! Everybody needs to get rage. This is bullshit. They are purposely, actively trying to murder us right in front of our fucking faces. They say it live on camera that they want to control how many of us there are. That is all a declaration of war upon the people. Why we're sitting here with our fucking thumbs in our asses beyond me. They have actively and openly declared war on the fucking civilians in this country. The people that the country is supposed to be for are under attack by the government. And we're sitting here going, well, maybe it'll fix itself. Nope. Trust me on this one, folks. Nothing but a revolution fixes this shit. Not even Trump. Trump will come in for 4 years and then he'll be gone. Who's next? Can you see? After 4 years, who are you going to vote for next? What glory child will step to the fucking podium then? Not a single one! You know who will step to the podium next? Somebody who learns Trump's tactics and mannerisms. And then he'll fucking use that against you because you've gotten so used and lullabied into believing Trump is your savior that you're going to go for the next asshole con man who acts like him. That's what's going to happen. Mark my fucking words. You need to wake the fuck up and understand that your vote really doesn't matter. The laws are not for you.
All right, now.
You are a slave in this country. Come to that conclusion already. It's the real world. We're standing in that world right now. We're slaves to them. And they're telling us, no, you're free. How am I free if I can't tell you to go fuck yourself to your fucking face? Without you having me arrested because I breathed on you. Which is what politicians do, so tell me how I'm not the slave. I'm meant to work and give you most of my money. I'm meant to fucking obey the laws while you and your children don't. I am meant to be punished when you and your friends and family and all of them never get punished. And if you do get locked up, it's in a fucking club. My God, Hillary Clinton, if she went to prison, she'd go to the girls' prison where there's no fucking walls. There's no fucking walls in some of these rich prisons. You can literally just walk off. They got personalized cells with their own bathrooms and small kitchens.
Yep.
What the fuck is that? Oh, that's right. It's a joke on us.
It's a country club.
It's a joke on us. It's for when one of them realizes that they have to be the sacrificial lamb for a little bit to make it look like the laws apply to them, and they get sent to that place where it doesn't hurt. No one's gonna rape you. It's really good and clean, and the food tastes nice, and the water isn't gonna give you cancer through metal poisoning. Yeah, that's what they get. We get third-rate food that will cause cancer, commissaries with nothing but cancer-causing food in them, and then a microwave so that we can microwave this shit and kill ourselves faster. That's what we get. We also get a toilet right next to our bunk that we are sharing with 1 or 2 to 3 different girls.
Yay.
No carpets on the floor, no privacy whatsoever unless I punch that bitch hard enough to knock her nose out the back of her head. Then I get confinement for a while, plus
Right.
we charge.
Yeah.
This is our reality. We are their slaves right now, and they are real scared at the moment because they know some of us see it. Wake the fuck up and everybody see it already! It's enough! The government, this whole, freedom in America, that died a long time ago, and they've just been lying to us and manipulating us. We are fucking puppets to them. It's a plaything kind of thing. They just enjoy moving us around like they're some sort of god. Oh, they don't want us in one part of the country? They make a reason to force people to move to another. Then they buy up the land.
April 22nd.
Yep.
Yeah, like they did over there when they burnt everybody out. And Oprah gets to keep her property, The Rock gets to keep his property, about 18 different mansions get to stay standing, but everybody else has to move. See how that works?
Yep.
This is what they do. All of those people who had lived there for generations are slaves. And they just burnt them alive. They burnt all their little huts to the ground, and now they're telling them they don't have any right to build back.
Yay.
Even though that was their slogan, build back better, right?
Right.
That's your leftist slogan, but yet you're not going to let the people build back better? Because Oprah, The Rock, and all of their elite friends don't want to look at the trash anymore. They don't want to see their slaves openly.
Yeah. Now, some years ago, I don't know, maybe a decade, no, probably more than that ago, there was a certain area of Texas where some in-laws of mine lost their homes in a fire that spread through one of the areas of Texas that actually has forest, and they had houses kind of tucked in there. Anyway, so a lot of people lost their homes. Now, the governor of Texas, what they did is they put all these people up in hotels, and then they gave them food cards, and so they at least had a home, and they weren't going to starve. So they had access to a bathroom and a shelter and all that. And what did they do in Hawaii? Not exactly that.
They gave them $700 and told them to fuck off.
Yep.
And that's if they even gave them that. Now here's the fun thing. Take Texas for example. Yeah, they put people up in hotels and they gave them food cards. They could have actually paid for cheap trailers to be put back on the land.
Yeah, I'm not sure what
They
happened
could have
with that,
paid
or
for the electric
yeah,
and the gas and the plumbing to be hooked up to
I don't
the
know.
cheap trailers.
I don't know how the rest of that went because I
Most
didn't keep paying
governments
attention.
have a
But
surplus pile of money for shit like this. But they
Oh,
never
yeah.
use it on the people. They will only ever use it on themselves.
oh yeah,
And it's disgusting.
I doubt that
surplus,
Texas,
that
took care of those
fucking
people that
slush
way.
fund for the people is meant to go for natural disaster relief.
Yeah.
Meaning when the people lose all their homes, you're supposed to come in and not just give them a food card and a hotel room. That's fleeting. What's going to happen when you stop paying for the food card in the hotel room?
Yeah.
They still don't have a home, do they?
Yep.
No. That's why the government should have bought those stupid FEMA trailers that they love so goddamn much.
Yep.
When they're trying to pretend like they're helping.
Yeah.
They should have just bought those cheap FEMA trailers, put those up, attach the plumbing and electric, and then walk the fuck off. Look, they have homes.
Yeah.
You've done something concrete. People have roofs that are theirs on their property. Their kids don't have to change school. Nothing has to really change other than the fact that their house is technically burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
Now they can live here while trying to fix that carnage or decide to move and sell. But that's what no government ever does. Why? Because they don't care about you. It's all about how they look. Because voting season's coming. Voting season's always coming to a politician. Always. So they're always on. They're always lying to you. They're always thinking about how to make themselves look good.
Don't
So
scratch
yes,
your ear.
thank you, Texas, for giving them a room and food cards.
Lovely.
But you could have bought them FEMA trailers.
There you go.
You could have actually
All right.
given them something
Don't
concrete
scratch
that
your
would
other
have
ear
solved
either.
all their fucking problems for a while and made it better. You didn't. But you did a hell of a lot more than Hawaii did.
Yeah.
You know, $700 and a slap on the ass. I gotta say, Texas did do better than that.
Yep.
You know, but still, we all know you assholes have the money to do the absolute perfect thing, but you're not doing it.
Yep.
Because you don't want to, because you want to keep the money.
All right, let's get through the rest of this though. So there are a couple of sources for that news story there. Now this one's like a horror movie. Also on this day, PJ Media published Insanity. Washington State came one vote away from releasing Green River serial killer, so he wouldn't get Wuhan virus, in which Victoria Tadet, however you say that, reported, quote, and there's the guy, Gary Ridgway, the Green River killer.
Yeah, that's who they wanted to let out.
Quote, throughout the country, law enforcement has set free thousands of prisoners to, quote unquote, protect them from COVID-19 inside jails and prisons, unquote. Furthermore, they wrote, quote, the man we know as the Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway, was sent to prison for more than 500 years. He was convicted of 49 murders of prostitutes, girls on the streets, and vulnerable runaways, but he was suspected of committing 71 murders in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. He would take the women and girls, have sex with them, then strangle them, watching the light go out of their eyes as he squeezed the life out of them. Sometimes he used a rope and sometimes he used his bare hands. He'd pose their bodies and sometimes come back and have sex with the corpses.
Yeah, he's a sick fuck.
The first victims were found in the Green River, giving the monster his moniker.
There's literally books about this fucking psycho.
Oh yeah, he's famous. The Green River Killer. Yeah.
Both for psychological examination and
Right.
for the people to just fucking geek out over.
Yeah.
He's a fucking monster, and they're like, we should let him out. Tell me how I'm wrong if they're willing to let that monster out. Tell me how they're not just purposely trying to kill us.
Not a single
Tell
one.
me. You can't, can you? They're gonna let an actual serial killer who has books written about him for study
Yep.
out.
Yep.
Because COVID. Tell me how I'm wrong in my fucking analyzation of this fucking situation. Tell me how I'm fucking wrong.
Yep.
'Cause
He was.
I don't see how I'm fucking wrong. I think I just made sense of the goddamn senseless bullshit they're doing.
To continue the quote, he was arrested in the 80s but let go for lack of evidence. A task force was formed to track down the serial killer, and in 2001, decades and multiple victims later, Gary Ridgway was busted again and confessed to 71 murders, unquote. And so they came really close to releasing this guy in 2020. Yeah.
Gee, I wonder if they wanted him to finish his spree and murder 71 more.
Yep. Now, there are other stories about this. You can see here from... It was reported that murderers were released in Canada. See, murderers and migrants released in Canada due to COVID-19 fears by Rebel News. August 8th, 2020. Police rape police, when it has the colon there. So, in other words, they're saying that the police say, rape suspect gets released from jail over COVID, allegedly murders his accuser. This might be what you're talking about. Daily Wire, August 8th, 2020. Also, Maryland man charged with murder had earlier secured release from jail over coronavirus concerns, Washington Post. Let's have a look at the Daily Wire's version of this. And any day now, load up there. Alright, while that's doing now, I'm going to check the chat. Hot Retarded Chicks, hey! Daniel Corica, good to see you guys here. Hot Retarded Chicks, yeah. Daniel Corica, another live stream I almost missed. Yeah, I mean, I only gave like an hour and a half notice. Hot Retarded Chicks, he was afraid they really were going to let him go. Hot Retarded Chicks, Illinois released Murder Unincorporated. Illinois releases Murder Unincorporated. Is that a play on Murder Incorporated, the song? Or what is it, the band?
Or is that the murderer's name, unincorporated? Like, is that their catch name when they kill? Like, I'm unincorporating you.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I don't know. Well, there's a
Doesn't make really
Metallica
much
song.
sense, but
There's a Metallica song called Murder Incorporated. Then there is...
would expect, but we're not going to get that because we don't live in such a thing. We live in servitude. We are their slaves. Wake the fuck up.
Yeah, man. So, where are we now? Canada. All right. So that was about that. Okay, August 8th, 2020, police. Okay, that we went into that one, and that was the... Okay, August 9th now. California is releasing some murderers due to COVID-19. Some say it should free more, by the LA Times. November 5th, 2020, killer Bonanno mobster released from prison after catching COVID-19. December 18th, 2020, California sheriff has had enough. He won't be releasing murderers and pedophiles, quote unquote, to protect them from COVID-19 by the red state. Now, there you go. That's what we need, is more of that on the local level on up. Sheriffs who refuse to say enforce lockdowns are heroes, and this guy too.
The only people who have the right to be let out of fucking prison are the people who are there under trumped up charges, and the majority of those people are there under weed charges. Not coke, not meth, not heroin, fucking marijuana. Something that is so low grade, it's fucking laughable to even get arrested for it to begin with. But there are a shitload of people in the prison lockup system that are there just for having a fucking nickel sack on them. And the legal system went, that's just enough to be distributed. So we're going to lock you up for 15 to 20 years. For $5 to $10 worth of bud.
Yay.
And it probably wasn't even good. They got locked up for that
Right.
long. Those are the
Yeah.
only people
people you should be letting out. Because you locked them up for nothing. And you fucking know you did. And we know who did it. It was Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and a bunch of leftist Democrats who now to this day sit there and go, marijuana is cool. Marijuana is cool. Yeah, really? Then why did you lock up so many people for it? Why did you purposely create rules and regulations that allowed the police to forcefully lock people up for $5 worth of bud? For a joint. For $1 worth of bud sometimes. How is that 15 years for $1 worth of swag? How? Oh, because Kamala Harris wanted to make money off of them. That's how.
Yay.
Joe Biden wanted to make money off of them in the prison system because these are people who are not junkies but hard workers who just like to smoke weed. So they locked them up and they worked them like fucking slaves right there in the prison system for a fucking nickel sack. You got to be a prison slave for Kamala fucking Harris. While your son got to watch rap music and become a thug because his dad was locked up for a bag of weed. That's why there's so much trouble in inner cities, people. Black on black crime could be stopped if you stop locking the fathers up for smoking a joint.
Yep.
Because that's what you did. It's exactly what you fucking did. And then when you took the weed away, crack came in. Isn't that amazing how quickly that fucking came in?
Yay.
Could be the CIA brought that to your town? Probably. They brought everything else.
Yeah.
So, crack
Heroin.
comes in, and now there's a lot of crackhead kids who didn't have a daddy because their daddy got locked up for weed, but now they're crackheads because there wasn't enough weed. So, yeah, there you go. Now you have shootings, mass murderings, and all kinds of other shit because you locked their fathers up for a nickel. Again, tell me how I'm wrong when that's exactly the statistics.
Yeah. So this is a good, encouraging story. California sheriff has had enough. He won't be releasing, quote, murderers and pedophiles, unquote, to protect them from
California
COVID.
was releasing pedophiles left and right. They probably fucking
Well, at least he's saying.
the entire system of them.
Yeah, at least he's saying so.
Yeah, he's probably telling the truth too.
This is by Alex Parker for Red State. The source is called Red State. A sheriff in California is, trigger warning, sticking to his guns. Orange County lawman Don Barnes says he'll not be releasing convicts despite an order from a judge. There's the sheriff there. Sheriff made the announcement Wednesday, as reported by Fox 11 News. He put it bluntly, and in a way in which few would find argument. But first, a little background. As I covered on December 12th in response to the pandemic and in the interest of inmate health, Superior Court Judge Peter Wilson ordered the OC, Orange County top cop, to liquidate half the horde in jail. Oh, so they turned him into liquid?
No, it means
I know, but it's a weird way to put it. Liquidate
condense
them.
into a pile and flush them.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
like some weird sci-fi movie. Like, think of some weird sci-fi movie where that's the prison system in the future. When they get overloaded, they just put everybody in like this box pit, and they like electrify them so they turn into a slurry, and then it goes down the grave.
Nice.
Like that would be a really fucked up horror movie, but I'd probably be there to watch it. Yeah.
Sometimes he used a rope and sometimes he used his bare hands.
If I see that in Hollywood, I want half.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Right? From the December 11th ruling, quote, this is quote within the quote and within the article, quote, from the uncontested facts found here include that conditions in the jail do not permit proper social distancing, and you get the idea, unquote. Okay. At the time, I noted California's third largest county was looking at a major move. As indicated by Don on social media, the court was effectively demanding 1,800 convicts be let out, and Sheriff Don tweeted this: "Please see my statements below following an order from the court mandating the release of more than 1,800 inmates from the Orange County Jail." And it says, statement from the Sheriff Barnes: "We have received an order from the court in case regarding COVID-19 in Orange County jails. The order mandates a significant reduction of the jail's inmate population. We are evaluating the order. It impacts our options for appeal. If the order stands, it will result in the release of more than 1,800 inmates. Many of these inmates are in pre-trial status or have been convicted of violent crimes and will be released back into the community. This order puts our community at substantial risk and does not take into account the impact on the victims of these crimes." And now it's official, the sheriff won't do it.
Good for him.
And how... What?
An actual
Oh,
sheriff.
yeah. Now, how's this for a statement? He says, quote, "I refuse to release murderers and pedophiles," unquote. He told KTTV, the folks at issue aren't all Boy Scouts and altar boys. Quote, "It's dangerous," this is the sheriff, quote, "it's dangerous. These people are not here for minor offenses," unquote. Fox observes Don's not alone in his stance. Quote, "Families say their loved ones deserve to be safe from the pandemic, while victim advocates say it's the victims that deserve to feel safe, which they don't, with their perpetrators getting out." Quote, "I'm getting calls from hysterical people thinking that their cases will come undone, or these criminals who go after them," unquote, says Patricia Wenskunas, I guess, from crimesurvivors.org, who says she wants victims to know they are not alone, unquote. To be clear, they have already turned a ton loose.
Oh yeah.
Quote, OCDA Todd Spitzer says his numbers indicate that almost 2,000 inmates are already released from Orange County jails due to COVID-19 concerns. 44% have committed other crimes, including 23-year-old man who is accused of stabbing and killing his 17-year-old ex-girlfriend. He had been released on zero bail 3 weeks prior. The jail population in Orange County has already been reduced by 33%, but a recent uptick in coronavirus cases has health officials worried. The judge's order comes out of an ACLU lawsuit, could have guessed, to reduce the jail's population to allow for more social distancing during the pandemic, unquote. In a statement, the sheriff shot the ACLU, I like that, who filed the lawsuit preceding the order. Quote, "This organization's views," again, this is the sheriff, "this organization's views criminal activity through rose-colored glasses while turning a blind eye to victims and the law-abiding Orange County public. For months, we have fought against their ongoing attempts to release dangerous offenders into neighborhoods of Orange County. We will not be deterred by one court ruling, and we will use every available legal avenue to keep these offenders out of our community," unquote. The number has now been lowered to 1,800, but for Don, it's still a no-go. Again, this is the sheriff, Don. Quote, "On Wednesday, the judge clarified the specifics of his order, and the number of potential releases is now based on..."
Cow farts. Just say odd things to it.
State-approved premium Medicare benefits in your area that might be available to you. You may be able to save money and increase the benefits that you receive. For example, dental, vision, and hearing. So, do you have Medicare Part A and B?
I'm actually the Dalai Lama.
Good. Okay, let me transfer your call to my senior supervisor who will further assist you and let you know what options we have for you, okay?
Why?
Well, because you don't know if it's
actually
an
the
official
Dalai
medical
Lama.
thing.
I don't care.
PerfectInsuranceandQuotes.com. How are you doing today?
Oh, fine, thank you.
You're in India now.
You're welcome, sir. And I believe that you do have Medicare both parts A and B. Is that right?
Well, I do consider myself to be an actual alligator.
He didn't even get to say
He didn't
anything.
even let you say the alligator part.
He just could tell my sarcasm was dripping through the phone, I
By
guess.
the way, if you ever get somebody trying to talk to you about your medical coverage or anything like that, and they're in fucking India, anywhere in India, hang up the phone or make a fucking joke of them. Because our government shouldn't be outsourcing to them. If they are, they can go fuck themselves. And if they're not, which I don't think they are, that's a scam, and they just want your social security number or your bank account.
Yeah.
You know, they want some private information they shouldn't be getting.
Well, either
because
that or
I don't think you should be outsourcing to a third world country when it comes to our medical info.
Yeah.
If that's what happened there.
Yeah, no, I don't think that was the government. That was either a total scam or it was the third party trying to tag their own medical insurance onto whatever you've already got from the government. But anyway, to finish off this article here, Don's dug in. They meant Don dug in. Don meaning the sheriff there in Orange County. He bottom lined it like a sheriff. Quote, "My department and I will fight this ruling in order to preserve the integrity of our criminal justice system and, most importantly, protect the safety of Orange County residents."
Thank you. That's your
Unquote.
job. That's the whole point of you having a badge. Why the fuck would the people pay taxes for law enforcement if they're just gonna throw criminals back out on the street like, ha ha, there's a cough going around and, you know, even though we keep them in here for the flu, the cold, diphtheria, chickenpox, toothache, broken arms, and a busted back. We'll keep them for all of that. But here comes COVID cough. Let them out, everyone.
Yep.
Floodgates are open. Tell me how that's logic.
Yep.
That's not fucking logic. You will literally keep somebody there while they die from a toothache until it becomes septic, and then you'll take them to an emergency room to have it ripped out at a third-rate emergency room just to take them back without painkillers and throw them in their cell. Tell me how that's acceptable, and you keep them locked up, but you're gonna let them out because there's a potential for COVID in a prison that will keep somebody and let them die of a toothache? Are you fucking with me right now?
Yep.
Alrighty,
Fuck
so
you.
I want to point out one other news item from July 31st, 2021. Company News Headquarters published a convicted murderer was released to help reduce COVID-19 spread in prison. The victim's family is outraged, and it was subsequently removed. And nobody got a chance to archive it in time, so all you get is here. This is what you get when you go there, is a screenshot. That's what you'll find. Actually, no, I did search, and I found this much right here, but that's all you get in an archive. And it says on down here, you can see, I circled that and read myself, but it says unable to retrieve full text content.
I think it's fine if
Kind of
you
makes
leave
you
the
wonder
family
what it
down.
might have said, right? But that's all we're going to go into. There's a lot more of like lower level stuff or their efforts being thwarted where they were going to release it and they didn't, or somebody stopped them from doing it, or the ACLU tried to get them to do it but they didn't do it, etc., etc. And but anyway, it's all there in the Culture War Encyclopedia. That's all I've got for now. What do you want to say, Tabby?
Oh, I forgot.
Okay. Alrighty, well, everyone, there you go.
It's like the wind.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, thank you for being here, everyone.
Yeah. I think there's probably some merit to that movie